First of all, I want to thank each one of you that is here today. And I'd like to acknowledge my team, the Excellence Organization, Excellence Senpai. If you guys can stand up, please. If we can give them a round of applause. And we have friends, other realtors, Nancy, Jose, and if you're a realtor, Maria, please stand up. Just acknowledge them. I want to kind of not just get into the process, okay? First, life begins with a dream, with a vision, with passion. And one of the things, like Frank was saying, for you to buy a house, you need what is called the 3 C's: cash, collateral, or credit, or all three. And there's a combination. The very first thing that, during COVID, the real estate industry, we were called essential workers because we're part of the economy, we're essential to the economy. And I just, one of the things that, and this is very big to me, and being here is big, it's huge, because, everybody talks about homeownership, generational wealth, access to capital, but you don't need access to capital, you need connections to capital. What do I mean? Okay, you take a little boy, little girl, or a young girl, Beverly Hills, and they have an idea like for an app. And they can very easily, they have the contacts to get 5, 6, 10 million. Out in our areas, it's very difficult, if not impossible. So to me, having New American funding here and having the city of Moreno Valley, our mayor, let's give him a big, big round of applause. I am humble because finally, we get people that care and they want to make homeownership possible and generational wealth. It's not, like I have worked with a lot of obviously different cultures, but the Latino has been basically my base for the last 35 years. And one of the things that we have in our culture that I don't see other cultures, and we all, as humans, we're all created equal, but culturally we have differences, okay? And I have had a house where, a family wants a house and they don't have the income, they have the credit, they're already paying rent, so they can definitely make the payment, okay? So this is where New American funding, a connection like them, okay, and you're sitting at the table with them can really make a difference because they can guide you. And in the Latino community, I can get the comadre, the compadre, then all of a sudden your down payment, it has to be documented. In our culture, you can tell me different, okay? But we still keep, my mother, my aunt's mattress money, and there are ways to document that to purchase your house. But that's where you sit down and you become transparent, with your agent, and you explain to him exactly what is that you want, and then collectively, basically the realtor, the real estate agent, he's like the project manager. He's the one that's going to connect you to the lender, home inspection, if the house has a septic tank, if he needs certifications, whatever it is. And a good realtor, a good trained realtor will tell you chronologically and systematically the process and then guide you through. It's a complicated process to buy a house. That's why you need a good realtor to explain it, so that you can be confident enough and go with the process. One of the things that I want to say is, in 2012, a 3-bedroom, 2-bath here in this market, $190,000. 10 years forward, that same house, $590. What's the question? I don't know anybody that can say $300,000 in 10 years. I have a couple of friends, buyers, Benny being one of them. He bought it, he was hesitant. He'd been paying rent for a lot of years. I talked to him and he bought a house. Then after he bought the house, he wanted to go out on his own business. He had access to capital and the connections to capital. So anyway, talk to your realtor, and I'm not sure if I explained the process. Frank, you have any questions, any more details that you would like me to say, sir?
Actually, thank you for sharing that insight, Amado. One thing, if you can just do me a favor, go a little bit more granular as to I know you mentioned some of the responsibilities of the realtor,
Sure.
but let's talk about those distinguishing factors when choosing that realtor as a buyer. What should they be looking for? What qualities?
Okay. I don't know how many licenses they are. Okay, I'm the president of my board. We have 5,000 members. Out of those 5,000 members, I said 40% of them, they do zero production. Okay, for whatever reason.
That's
I'm not
where I
here
was
to discuss
going.
that. Okay. You want to find a realtor that can perform, that has a track record. Okay. A lot of times, and maybe I'm guilty, on my marketing material, I try to put current pictures, but then sometimes it's like, oh my God, that was my high school picture. So we have a lot of instances like that, but you want a realtor that has a track record of performing and delivering, and ask them. Don't be if you're going to perform a surgery with your doctor, you don't want to go to the cheapest. That's another thing too. A lot of things that, cheap is good, but no, my dad used to say, mijo, el que compra barato, compra cada rato. Don't do that, and stick to your agenda and write down, what you want, and then, and ask around. Can you let me talk to the last person that you represented, or, can I see your reviews, and ask questions. Don't be shy, so that's the key, Frank, to find a realtor that not only has a license, but that performs and delivers.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for that,
Thank you.
Amado. And the good news is now with the internet, with reviews, with Zillow, even if a realtor doesn't work for Zillow, a lot of the times you'll see a lot of their information, you'll see their reviews, the amount of transactions. So definitely do your due diligence. Thank you for that. And with that, we're gonna move over to Janelle.
Yes.
And Janelle's gonna enlighten us with 0 down payment loans. So sharpen up that pencil or pen and take some good notes here.
Yes. The clicker?
Yes. Actually, I think we left it. The clicker, yeah.
There it is. Thank you. All right. Just the way it goes. Good morning. Good morning. It's so nice to see all these happy faces, and thank you for spending your morning with us. It's really appreciated, coming out of your whatever personal things you have to do and spending time with us. My name is Janelle Wood, and our company name is CBC Mortgage Agency. That is our company name. However, we're known all over the U.S. as Chenoa Fund. Chenoa Fund is a down payment assistance program. And that's what brings me here today, to be partnering with Frank, to helping homeowners with down payment assistance. So CBC Mortgage Agency was founded in 2013. So we are very proud to be celebrating our 10-year anniversary. So we've been here since 2013. We plan on being here. We are serving our communities and offering down payment assistance. We are also known, and we're owned by the Cedar Band Paiute Indians out of Utah. We're proud to be owned by them. So CBC Mortgage Agency, like I had mentioned, is our company name, but Chenoa Down Payment Assistance is our program. CBC Mortgage Agency, we focus on credit-worthy, low to moderate income individuals. So what is down payment assistance? Here's just some of the common types that are offered out there: grants, loans, and forgivable loans. However, if the debt is to be forgiven, then there is a very specific requirement of making first mortgage payments on time. So these are just a few of the most common types of down payment assistance. And just some statistics here, that there are over 2,000 state and local down payment programs available. So Chenoa Fund is a down payment assistance program. We offer 3.5% down payment assistance or 5% down payment assistance needed for an FHA loan. So we're going to provide the down payment assistance behind us an FHA first. So you will have an FHA mortgage, and then the second mortgage will be the down payment assistance. And that's calculated by using the purchase price or the appraised value, whichever is lower. That will be your down payment assistance.
Can I make a comment real quick?
Yes.
Yeah, so what you're gonna find out is once you're pre-approved, your lender, hopefully it's us, we're gonna tell you, okay, you are eligible to qualify for an FHA loan. Or if you're a veteran, is there any veterans in the room? Veterans, VA? Okay, there's one. So if you're a veteran, happen to be a veteran, then you're gonna get a VA loan. Okay, so it's either FHA, VA, or conventional. Conventional is typically when you come in with a down payment of at least 3 or 5% or more, or let's say you have 20% down. You're gonna get a gift from a family member, most likely you're gonna go conventional. This program here that Janelle's talking about today is strictly works together hand in hand with FHA. Okay, and this is an internal program that we have at New American Funding.
Yes, thank you. All right, well, the reason we come in as Chenoa Down Payment Assistance Program is because there are many individuals that have a steady income. They have good credit, except they don't have the down payment to apply towards a new home. So that's where we come into play. A lot of homeowners don't have access to maybe gifts from family members, right? They don't have the savings. So with the Chenoa Down Payment Assistance Program, we're coming in as your down payment assistance. We here at CBC Mortgage Agency, we provide much needed help for down payment assistance. So here's how it works. CBC Mortgage Agency offers the Chenoa Fund, the Down Payment Assistance Program. We partner with Frank. So Frank will sit with you. You will work directly, Frank's gonna work directly with you. You're gonna talk about the process. You're gonna talk about qualifying and then applying for the Chenoa Down Payment Assistance Program. Along with our down payment assistance program, CBC Mortgage also offers counseling, right? So we're really proud to be offering home buyer education counseling, and that is at no charge. So we have literacy education and coaching we offer. We offer post-purchase counseling. So once you close on your home and you have someone to talk to. If you need to rearrange, remanage your money, your savings, we offer post-purchase counseling through our Borrower Success Program. So that can go on, again, with no cost. We also have created an incentive for a second loan forgiveness program. So after a certain amount of time, the second mortgage will be released, but you have to make your first mortgage payment on time, right? So we're creating incentives. We're giving the borrower a great, making a commitment for them by making the first mortgage payment on time, and then that second mortgage could be forgiven. And that's the program that Frank has and he offers. So you can also discuss that with him or me. And here's just a few of our happy faces of homeowners that have used the Chenoa Fund Down Payment Assistance Program, along with some genuine testimonials and reviews. And borrowers are stating that without this program, that they could have not been and owned a home. So we're really happy to be here. Thank you for having us and partnering with you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. Can I ask you a couple questions about
Yes,
Chenoa?
please. Yes.
Okay, great. So just to recap, Chenoa works in conjunction with FHA only. So that's definitely a point to be taken down in your notes. It does cover down payment only. Keep in mind when you're purchasing a home, there's also going to be closing costs. Okay, because I always get that question in probably half of the consultations I do with first-time buyers. So one thing is your down payment, and then you've got your closing costs. The good news is the closing costs in many cases can be negotiated and possibly paid by the seller. Okay, when you make that offer, when we pre-approve you, we're going to say, okay, here's your FHA pre-approval. We're going to get you the Chenoa plan for down payment assistance. Now go to Amado, the seasoned veteran in the market, and hopefully he can negotiate closing costs from the seller. That way you truly get potentially a zero down, zero closing cost transaction. Now I would like for you, Amado, to comment about that, about the current situation. Is that possible? How does that work?
You know, Frank, again, we get back to working with a strong agent. A strong agent in any kind of market will know exactly how to negotiate and represent you to the best of your interest. To answer your question, there's a lot of different ways to get closing costs. Can the house appraise higher? So can you make an offer above asking price? What's the motivation? There are different ways, and that's, I want to say this so that, Frank mentioned about New American Funding being the largest Latino-owned brand. Well, Excellence, it's owned by two Latinos, one in LA. I have a partner out here in the Inland Empire. We're in 70 locations. We have over 1,100 agents. And one of the things that we do, what makes us different, is we believe in strong training, but then once they come, also, self-development. Why is self-development so important to all of us? So that we can communicate, so that we talk to to the lender, to the, a good agent also has his or her communication skills are superb, because normally if you're representing, in this case, a buyer, you want someone that has a good reputation in the industry, so that he or she is talking to the listing agent, because the listing agent, they want to talk to Frank and do a cross-qualification, make sure that what Frank is saying, Frank is going to be able to perform. And that's really when you get a good, strong negotiator on your behalf, that, he or she, they're going to make your dream come true. And they're going to be like our mayor, a very happy homeowner. So it's very important that you talk to someone that walks the walk and talks the talk. So to answer your question, Frank, in any market, a good agent makes a huge, huge difference.
Okay. And what I also want to do is quickly summarize para las personas que no hablan mucho inglés y que prefieren en español, nada más un resumen de lo que acabamos de ver aquí de la asistencia del enganche. Lo que hablamos es que la asistencia que existe del programa que se llama Chenoa, el que explicaron ahorita hace unos momentitos, ese programa funciona en junto con el programa FHA. Entonces, si cualquier persona que califica para un préstamo FHA, automáticamente califica para la asistencia del enganche en 48 estados en el país. Este programa de asistencia es una asistencia federal. Y lo que comentábamos ahorita es que ese programa ayuda con el enganche, pero lo que es el costo del papeleo, eso sí es aparte. Y lo que comentaba Amado ahorita, y quizá nos pueda dar una explicación en español, es de que cuando se trata del papeleo, de los closing costs, en muchos casos se puede negociar con el que vende la casa. Y eso depende, obviamente va a ser caso por caso, muchos mercados son diferentes, pero voy a dejar que Amado explique eso en español, de cómo se puede manejar una situación donde se pide que el vendedor de la casa pague el papeleo.
Sí, normalmente cuando la gente habla de los closing costs, o para cerrar, ¿verdad? yo tuve que corregir a uno de mis hijos que está en el negocio. Decía, a veces es por el papeleo. No es por el papeleo. Los closing costs son servicios, o sea, aseguranza, va a necesitar aseguranza para su casa, va a tener que pagar, o sea, los impuestos, o sea, que son servicios que usted está pagando y normalmente es como del 3 al 3,5, depende, ¿verdad?, el interés y otros factores. Pero ahí, una vez más, regreso a lo mismo, necesita alguien que haya sido entrenado y que sinceramente tenga la manera de negociar, o sea, el don de negociar y representarlo a usted. Una de las cosas, ¿verdad?, que es muy, muy importante es que usted, las preguntas que tiene, que se las expliquen en su español, porque al final del día, acuérdese que en el cielo vamos a hablar español, Frank.
Gracias, Amado. And with that, we will turn it over to Jane Coleman with MGIC. And now she's going to be talking about mortgage insurance, what it is. Some of you have maybe heard the term, but the mortgage insurance Jane is going to be talking about works with conventional loan programs. So like I said earlier, there's basically 3 types of loan programs for first-time buyers. There's FHA, there's VA for the veterans, and then you've got conventional. So what Jane is going to be talking about right now goes hand in hand with conventional. And with that, I will turn it over to Jane.
Thank you, Frank. Buenos días.
Well, there you go.
Un poco español.
Les dije que en el cielo íbamos a hablar español.
I don't know what you said, but good morning. My name is Jane Coleman, and I'm with MGIC. And for all of you out there that are home buyers especially, you're like, what is MGIC? MGIC is the founder of private mortgage insurance. What is private mortgage insurance? And how can it work for you? MGIC, as the founder of mortgage insurance, 67 years ago, we founded mortgage insurance. So we're really proud that we founded MGIC, and it's been 67 years of uphills, downhills, and everything in between. And what we do is we work with the lenders, and we insure loans. Before I get started, I want some myths that we hear quite often in the marketplace. The first one is, you need 20% down. How many of you think you need 20% down? Actually, we did a survey, there's over 70% of the population thought you needed 20% down. The other myth is you need a 740 credit score or higher. That is not true either. MGIC goes down to 680, sometimes a little bit lower, and on the FHA, they go even lower than that. And then finally, that you need to be debt-free. I don't know anyone that's debt-free, so that's definitely a myth. So what is mortgage insurance and what do we do? What we do is, as you as a home buyer, you go to Frank to get a loan, and you can have as little as 3% down with mortgage insurance. 3% down, 5% down, 10% down. Working with Frank, he'll tell you how much you qualify for, how much you could put down. And so we are insuring the lender in case you as a home buyer would go in default, and then we cover the lender. So typically you won't be dealing with us, you'll be dealing with Frank. Why would you use mortgage insurance? For the home buyers out there, the first reason is increased buying power. So instead of saving 20% down, let's say you're renting an apartment right now, or renting a home, all that money you could be putting towards a home instead of to your rent. Expanded cash flow, meaning if you save for 20% down, instead put 3, 5, 10% down, and you'll have more money after you close that loan. Lower monthly payments if you have a higher credit score, less debt and more equity than FHA, and then you're also able to cancel the mortgage insurance as well.
Can I make a comment right there?
Sure, absolutely.
Okay, so if you notice there, the ability to cancel the mortgage insurance, so what you're gonna find, In all fairness, and obviously this is about providing education, is if you're in a position to come in with your own down payment, whether it's at 3%, 5%, 10%, or whatever the case may be, you are going to have mortgage insurance, okay, because you're not putting 20% down. So whenever you put less than 20% down, you will have this mortgage insurance. The difference between FHA and conventional is that on conventional, you can remove the mortgage insurance without refinancing, okay? If you end up getting an FHA loan, you can remove the mortgage insurance, but you have to refinance. With conventional, you do not have to refinance. So that's a big advantage.
Thank you, Frank. This is a great statistic. In 1 year, the average home buyer spends over $13,000 for home repairs, maintenance, and emergencies. So again, that's another reason to consider, instead of saving for 20% down, you'll be able to use the money that you would be saving if you put 5% down for certain things like this maintenance. So this is a strategy of mortgage insurance. You can afford more of a home with MI, buy sooner with MI, overcome a low appraisal with MI, and put less money down. And this is how it's going to work for the borrowers. Let's say that you're going to have a 50,000 property, which obviously is not in today's world, but you would have a 10,000 down payment if you have 20% down. If you have a $100,000 property and you only put 10% down, then that's $10,000. And let's say it's a $200,000 property and you put 5% down, it's still $10,000. So this really is a clear picture for you to see the difference of having 20% down and then what your buying power could be if you used mortgage insurance. If there's any questions from the audience, feel free to raise your hand and ask as well.
So one of the comments I want to make about mortgage insurance, that if it wasn't for mortgage insurance, okay, most likely when you consider a conventional loan, we would be required to put 20% down. But because mortgage insurance exists, as lenders, I can offer you financing on a conventional with 3, with 5, with 15% down, because they're there to guarantee our loan, okay? So I don't know if you want to make a quick comment about what happened in 2008 and how for a certain time there was no mortgage insurance, and I'll have you take it from there.
Sure, absolutely. So in 2008, the Great Recession came relative to, Frank had alluded to earlier, there were loans they called them NINA loans, no income, no asset. You didn't have to do all the paperwork. You could just tell them what you made and what assets you had. And that's what got us into trouble, and then the values start plummeting on homes. So a lot of people lost their homes because they were qualified as something that was not documented, if you will. So MGIC came out of that, but if it weren't for mortgage insurance, there would be a lot of lenders that may not be here today. That's probably a simple way of saying that, right, Frank?
Absolutely.
Yes. This is just an example relative to the down payment that we were talking about. If you put down 5% on a $150,000 property, which would be $7,500, you'd have $2,500 left in savings versus saving the 20%. I'm going to just skim over these. I think they get a little detailed, Frank.
Sure.
But when you do go to Frank to get a loan, and he'll qualify you relative to be a conventional loan or FHA, whatever is best fit for you, then for mortgage insurance, we have different programs. And so not to confuse you, but these programs are helped to have the borrower qualify and the best payment option for you. So I'm going to give a real basic overview here. It's called borrower paid, and then we have lender paid. And I'm just going to share the difference. The monthly premium, which is probably, I'd say, 90% of what MGIC does, there's no upfront premium. You pay a monthly payment with your mortgage. You can cancel it, And we say versatile because, again, you can choose how much you put down.
I'm gonna make a comment real quick.
Sure.
If you go back to that screen for me. Okay, so just again, in all fairness to both products, today we're learning about FHA with the assistance. Now we're learning about conventional with the MI. So with FHA, you are going to have an upfront mortgage insurance premium. Okay, so there's a mortgage insurance premium that FHA rolls on to the top of your mortgage as a guarantee because you're only putting 3.5% down. Okay, so that's with FHA. On the conventional, when you're coming in with your own down payment, there is no upfront, nothing gets financed on top of the loan. You only pay a monthly insurance, just like you would on FHA.
Thank you, Frank. Something I wanted to add that's not on the slide that's really, really important. For many years, I can't even think, I mean, it's been in existence for at least 30-something years, where you can actually have your mortgage insurance payments are tax deductible. And it's up to a certain income limit. And the bill is up right now on Capitol Hill, where it used to be if you made $100,000, then you can have a certain amount tax deductible. And now will qualify borrowers up to $200,000. So that bill, like I said, is right now being lobbied to be passed. So it is going to be tax deductible. So that's a big plus for the home buyers.
Yes.
Yes. So again, these are some of the benefits that I discussed already. Minimize your closing costs. You can reduce your LTV. LTV is your loan to value. So loan to value is, how much your loan is to how much you're putting down. Paying down the principal balance and making home improvements. And then locking the lowest interest rates and lower monthly payment without refinancing, as Frank had suggested. And we already talked about 80%. And then also we do a lot of borrowers that have FHA loan at first, and then they want to refi, and they can refi in to a conventional loan. Again, Frank can answer more details on that if you need to.
Yeah, so for example, let's say you end up purchasing a home this year with Chenoa, okay? You take the assistance, and then 1 year later, your home appreciates, let's say 10%, okay? It goes up 10% in value. And let's say the rates drop to 5%. Currently, they're around 6.5 right now. Let's say they drop. So even though you don't have 20% in equity, which is what a lot of people think, in order to refinance, you could do a refinance on the conventional side, use mortgage insurance from MGIC, and still drop your payment significantly, because not only is your interest rate gonna drop, but your mortgage insurance amount is gonna drop significantly. And then at that point, after you refinance, in 2 years, you could remove that PMI, like I said earlier, once 20% equity has been achieved without having to refinance. So once you get into the conventional world, you're gonna find out that there's a lot of flexibility.
Yes, absolutely. And something to add to that as well is, if you don't refinance out of mortgage insurance, it also is automatic. It's called a Homeowners Protection Act. And it's obviously there to protect the homeowners, and it automatically falls off. So it's not that like you, the borrower, would have to do anything. It would come off
Great
automatically.
point, yes.
Yep. Let's see. The other option is a single premium. Again, not to go into too much detail, but it's a larger one-time premium. Instead of paying it monthly in your mortgage, you pay it one time.
So this premium, so for example, instead of paying it a little bit at a time in your monthly payment, like you would on FHA, if there's a situation where there's a property that has been sitting on the market a long time, and the seller has a lot of incentive to sell that property, this can be negotiated. So Amado, as your realtor, can negotiate and get money from the seller to wipe out the mortgage insurance premium, so you don't even have it, okay? So that mortgage insurance premium can be totally wiped out and paid by the seller.
Yeah. They call it a seller contribution.
Yes.
Which means they're contributing towards your down payment, and that's when you can use this in our single premium program. I don't know if you want to take a picture of this slide. This is great to see, which borrowers should consider this option.
Oh, there it is, yeah.
Yeah. Lowest payment that could be paid by the buyer, seller, or if you're building a home, the builder also has some builder concessions as well. I think we went over the other ones already. Yeah. And then the final one is we call it lender paid single premiums. It's paid by a third party, usually comes from the lender, and it's built into the interest rate. So at this time of the market, with the interest rates being higher, I wouldn't suggest lender paid right now.
Yeah.
But it is an option. I just wanted to share that with you. This is another comparison relative to waiting to save 20%. And we have an example here of Isaiah. Waiting to save 20% would take more than 7 years. And if he buys now and puts only 3% down, which is a $210,000 loan, puts down $6,300. The fixed rate, 5.5, it's an example. And then the monthly P&I is 1,000, P&I, P stands for principal and interest, $1,507. You add the monthly mortgage insurance. On this example, your mortgage insurance is $56 a month. And the total mortgage insurance with your principal and interest is $1,563 a month is your payment. And your home equity, after 7 years, you've put $85,000 into that. That's very powerful to see. If he waits for 7 years, you can see the difference where he's waiting and he has to save $52,000. The fixed rate, 7.5 due to the rising interest rates. The monthly principal interest is $1,304. There's not going to be mortgage insurance at that point because you have 20% down. And your total monthly mortgage payment would be $1,304. So you can see of the money saved, it's very close to having that mortgage insurance at 3% down. And the home equity at that point would be $52,974. So you were better having the mortgage insurance in the beginning instead of waiting to see that 20% down. If you take one thing away other than what other panel here has discussed, write this down. This is for home buyers or for the realtors to refer or loan offers to refer their home buyers. It's called readiness.com. If you're looking to buy a home, I bet a lot of people are Googling buying a home, what to do, what's the next steps. When you do that, you're going to get an inbox full of ads. Has anyone done that? I'm telling you, I've done it. And every loan officer out there will be trying to get a hold of you. They'll be contacting you. To help yourself from going through that pain, you can do readiness.com. It is specifically for home buyers. It has how much you can afford, has different calculators, buy now versus wait. Getting ready, so you'll see up here in the top of it, getting ready, the processes, at home, the different resources. So there are checklists. When you go to look for a home, it has comparisons. You look at 10 homes. You'll go out and look at a home and you're like, which house had that? I can't remember. Well, this has a checklist of what to look for. And then a home maintenance checklist. So when you're looking through the homes, what should I be looking for when I'm doing this? This is also in Spanish, in Espanol. So,
Excelente.
yes. So make sure you check this out. This is a very valuable resource MGIC put together to help home buyers. On the same readiness.com are the affordability calculators, which I refer to. How much you can buy now versus wait, down payment, renting versus buying, what your monthly payment could be, and then how much you can afford. And again, like working with Frank as a lender who will help you through these processes, but as you're doing your own studies on your own, I highly recommend that readiness. And again, anything we have, checklists like I was referring to, they're all in Spanish as well. Thank you very much, and muchas gracias.
Thank you so much for that.
Frank, I will add that probably about 28 years ago, I'd say, I bought my first home, maybe close to 30, And I knew nothing about the home buying process. I was saving every dime. I was living in Washington, D.C. at the time, which was just like the California market, very, very expensive. And I knew nothing about the home buying process. We didn't have something like this that I could have gone to. I actually enrolled myself into community college and took classes like one night a week for a month to learn how to buy a house. So the fact that Frank brought this today, this is huge, Frank. Wonderful.
Thank you. Thank you for your support. Para las personas que hablan español, voy a hacer un resumen rapidito aquí de la presentación que acaban de ver. Básicamente es cuando hablamos de un préstamo convencional, cuando usted va a poner su propio enganche, sea el mínimo 3%, el 5%, el 10%, en cualquier momento que usted ponga menos del 20% down, el banco requiere una aseguranza, que es la compañía que representa aquí Jane. Y esa aseguranza, la gran diferencia, lo que tiene que entender y apuntar en sus notas de hoy, que esa aseguranza mensual se puede quitar sin tener que refinanciar. Okay, cuando usted escucha de un préstamo FHA, también lleva esa aseguranza mensual, pero para poder quitarla tiene que refinanciar con FHA. En el convencional no tiene que refinanciar. El requerimiento es esperar 2 años y que la propiedad tenga 20% de ganancia. ¿Okay? Y en ese 20% se calcula lo que usted puso de enganche. Si usted puso 5% y la casa subió 15%, ahí está el 20%. ¿Okay? Pero hay un periodo que hay que esperar de 2 años sin tener que refinanciar. Ese es un punto muy clave de la diferencia entre un préstamo FHA a convencional. ¿Okay? So ese es el punto clave aquí.
Sí, me gustaría,
adelante.
Sí, bueno, me gustaría añadir hay una tercera manera que no necesita ni MIP, ni PMI, nada, ¿ok? Y puede entrar con el 5%. Y ahí eso necesita un agente que sepa lo que está haciendo. Lo que usted va con el vendedor, le pide que agarre una segunda, el que está vendiendo. Si su cliente da el 5%, que el vendedor agarre una nota por el 15%, o si del 10 por 10, entonces Frank lo va a tomar como que su comprador está entrando con el 20%. Y esa es una cosa, como le digo, un buen agente vale lo que está haciendo. Yo sinceramente le agradezco a Frank por habernos traído aquí, por permitirme decirles a ustedes, porque yo soy una persona, aquí local, en el estado, en Washington, o sea, voy y peleo por nosotros que estamos aquí de habla español para tener conexiones y acceso a vivir una vida mejor. No hay nada mejor que ser dueño de su propia casa. Muchas gracias, Frank.
Gracias, Amado. So with that, we're going to take a few minutes for questions. So now this is your time. Vamos a tomar unos minutitos aquí para contestarles cualquier pregunta que tengan sobre la información que escucharon. So Tiffany's going to pass around a microphone for anybody who has a question. Does anybody have a question? Yes, in the back.
I just want to know about how do you guys work with someone that has a lot of debt?
Okay. Well, as far as working with someone, like I said earlier, I don't know if you were here when you missed that part of the presentation. So number one, we have to run your credit, okay? Figure out how much debt you have, okay? And then from there, compare that to whatever your income is. And then at that point, we're gonna come up with a debt to income ratio. Now, a lot of the times we make recommendations when we see a lot of different credit cards. We would maybe suggest doing some debt consolidation. We work with some different credit repair companies. So that's why it's so important to run your credit, understand the impact of that debt on your credit score, and together with your lender, come up with a strategy. So that's like the first step you have to do. Sit down, do that analysis, and come up with a game plan.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning.
I was wondering wondering, a few years ago, I spoke to a realtor. I was curious about finding information about purchasing a home, and at this time, the realtor told me that I was disqualified for applying for a loan because I had student loans. Are student loans different from credit card debt?
Okay, great question and very common. So the fact that you have student loans does not disqualify you. Now, again, similar response to the one I just had. So depending on what your income is, what is the amount of those student loans in compared to your income? Okay, so when I see student loans, typically on FHA loans, if you're qualifying for like a down payment assistance loan, we're gonna take the sum of those student loans and we're gonna calculate 0.5% of whatever the balance is. So we basically, let's say you owe 100,000, we're gonna multiply that times 0.5%. Whatever that gives me is the minimum payment that I'm gonna use on your qualification. Now, if I see that that payment is impacting your qualification, I'm gonna suggest that you go to the provider of the student loans and ask potentially for an IBR, for an income-based repayment plan, which in many cases can reduce the payment even further than that 0.5% calculation. So there are ways around it. That's where an experienced, seasoned lender can really help you.
Hello there, good morning.
Morning.
I had a question about equity on a house. Just wondering how you excel that over time, especially during this house bubble that we're in right now. So I was just wondering how can you make profit and yield from it?
Mr. Hernandez, would you like to take that one?
My hearing is not that good, so I didn't hear the question. Can you repeat the question? Thanks, Frank.
I was saying, how do you make equity and yield over the years to come, especially during this house bubble that we're in?
There is no house bubble, respectfully, sir.
Okay, just wondering. Of course, rumors, but I'm just like an amateur.
If you can speak louder.
Yes.
Sorry.
Sorry about that, but I'm just like an amateur trying to learn about this. So just learning, listening to how you're actually able to put zero down on a house or go through interest. It's just all new to me, so I'm just trying to digest this one step at a time.
You're in the right place to learn. Thank you. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. So thank you for that question. Very, very good question. And if I could just chime in real quick. So building equity, right, in a property, say maybe you don't own a house yet and you're trying to buy your first house. So that's, again, going back to definitely finding a good realtor, an experienced realtor who can maybe help you find an under market value property, right? Something that is not just an average price home, but something that maybe needs a little bit of fixing up, right? I'm not talking about fix and flip or anything like that, right? That's a whole other story. What I'm talking about is something that needs maybe some minor repairs, or maybe it's in a neighborhood that isn't as desirable, and because of that, the price is a little lower. So it helps you get in, right? So in that way, once you get in, hopefully you can find funding or capital to maybe do some upgrades, right? Like upgrading the kitchen or upgrading the bathroom, right? And again, talking to professionals like contractors and real estate agents who know and have that experience, so that you don't go and spend a bunch of money on your house remodeling it on something that isn't going to give you the biggest bang for your buck, right? So talking to the right people so that you put any extra money that you have to upgrade the house and build more equity into the house, right? There's a lot of different ways that you could do it. But one of them is for someone who's looking to buy, trying to find a property that is kind of under market value, so that when you buy, you automatically have some equity from the get-go. And then once you have a house, making upgrades and investments on the property to further increase your equity, right? So I hope that kind of answers your question and adds a little bit to it.
One of the things I also want to add on, and you might want to take notes, within the FHA program that's being discussed, not the one with the down payment assistance, but just a regular traditional FHA, there's something called a 203K, if you want to write that down. So with the 203K, you can work with an agent, find a property, just like Ulises just said, and even compete with investors that potentially want to buy that house cash, because it's technically not financeable. It's got broken windows, it's got holes in the walls. So no typical lender is going to want to finance that, but the FHA 203K, they will. So those are the homes you're going to be able to find under market value. We give you the money, assuming you qualify. Okay, you have to qualify based on credit, income, all those other important pieces. But we can give you the money to tack on top of the purchase price for whatever it's going to take you to rehab it, and there you have the instant equity. Okay, so 203K. Yes.
I would just add to that question as well that when you buy a home, you're immediately building your equity versus if you're renting, because that's going away, you're not building that into your own equity. So that's something to remember as a homeowner, that you're going to build equity as soon as you buy that home. And I've bought 2 homes that I have bought under market, like you had shared, because I had a vision. And it was simple things. It wasn't like I had to put a ton of money into it. It could be the paint color could have been horrific. It was maybe taking down some old-fashioned wallpaper. It was just doing some minor things to build the equity in the house. And just from a fresh coat of paint, that could change the look of it. And I literally had people come by after I bought that house and did a few things, and they wanted to buy the house from simple things, so that maybe people don't have that same vision. But as Frank suggested, I wouldn't also go in and say I have to put up all new bathrooms, all new kitchens, because that's a lot of money as well. But if there are even some simple things you can do, I think right away it builds equity.
Thank you for that. Preguntas en español de nuestra gente de habla hispana por ahí. ¿Alguna duda? Dígame.
Sí, dijiste ahorita acerca del número 2 es el income. Si el income viene por workers' comp, ¿eso se puede también?
El único caso que podemos utilizar ese tipo de ingreso es cuando es un disability permanente. Si el disability es permanente, ese ingreso se puede utilizar sin ningún problema para calificar. ¿Alguna otra pregunta por ahí en español?
Hi, I'm a realtor, and from a standpoint of a realtor, I have a couple of questions. Soy realtor y tengo 3 preguntas en referente al programa de Chenoa. 1, hay límites en el ingreso que la persona tenga. 2, ¿cuánto es el tiempo para aprobar ese programa después del FHA? Y es estrictamente para primeros compradores. Question number 1 is there an income limit for the Chenoa program? Second, is there what's the time frame to get this particular loan approved? And third, is it strictly for first-time home buyers?
I'll let you address the English ones and I'll take the Spanish.
They were great questions.
Yeah, they were. All right. There is not an income limit with the Chenoa Down Payment Assistance Program. However, if the homeowner is above a certain area median income, then they're just subject to a different fee structure, but still eligible. All right. Time process and turn times, was that your next question? Yeah. So with Chenoa Fund, because Frank is a delegated correspondent lender with us, the flow of the loan happens within his organization. So from origination, processing, underwriting, closing, all happens within Frank's in-house. So they're in control, they're moving the milestones along. So the file does not go out for a second underwrite. It stays all there in his office.
There was a third piece to the question.
Is it strictly for first-time home buyers?
No, it is not strictly for first-time home buyers. Yeah, great questions. Thank you. Yes.
Ok, so en el programa de asistencia de Chenoa, la pregunta se hizo que si número 1 el programa es para primeros compradores. típicamente son los que utilizan el programa, pero alguien que haya tenido una casa en el pasado, inclusive si perdió esa casa en el pasado, si ya pasa el requerimiento de 3 años, pueden volver a comprar con asistencia de enganche, con Echenova. La otra pregunta que se hizo, y muy buena pregunta, si hay limitaciones en los ingresos. Porque si se da cuenta, si se pone a investigar programas de asistencia en línea, se va a dar cuenta que la mayoría de programas de asistencia, no importa que sean a un nivel local, regional, estatal o nacional, la mayoría tienen limitaciones en los ingresos. Este programa que se explicó hoy es uno de mis favoritos por el hecho de que no hay limitaciones. La persona puede ganar $1 millón al año y le podemos conseguir esa asistencia. No hay limitaciones de ingresos. Y es un programa nacional. Y la otra pregunta que se hizo es si ese programa, cuál es el tiempo para cerrarlo, cómo es el proceso. Y de acuerdo a la estructura de nuestra compañía y la relación que tenemos con esta organización, todo lo hacemos bajo un solo techo. Nosotros tomamos la decisión, nosotros hacemos la aprobación, nosotros sacamos los documentos finales, hacemos todo internamente. Muchos programas de asistencia, la mayoría, tenemos que mandar nosotros el archivo suyo a la ciudad, al condado, al estado, y todo eso causa retrasos en el proceso de real estate cuando usted ya está en escrow. Inclusive muchos agentes, desgraciadamente, cuando ven su oferta, que son programas de asistencia del estado, de la ciudad, regionales, no crea que le hacen muy buena cara, porque piensan que van a durar mucho tiempo en cerrar esa transacción. Y en muchos casos es cierto. En este programa no existe eso, porque lo hacemos nosotros internamente. Yes.
Thank you. I just wanted to add that the Chenoa Fund Down Payment Assistance Program is for purchase transactions. Purchase transactions only, owner occupied, but you do not need to be a first-time home buyer. So I just wanted to add that.
Nada más para traducir rápidamente, el programa de Chenova tiene que ser la casa residencia principal, o sea que tiene que vivir usted allí. No se puede hacer para una casa que usted va a comprar para negocio, para rentar. Tiene que ser su residencia principal.
So, is there a certain time frame or recommended time frame after a bankruptcy that we should be either waiting for, or before we start searching for a option to buy a home?
Actually, for FHA, the waiting period I believe is 3 years. I want to say, but we're gonna Google that right now. Yeah, but it's a very short waiting period. I think it's even shorter depending on the type of bankruptcy. If it was a Chapter 13, I believe, which is the restructure of debt, that's the shortest waiting period. So with FHA, your waiting periods are very, very, very short.
What about a 7?
Chapter 7, I want to say 3 years, but I could have Tiffany Google it. ¿Alguna otra pregunta en español? Yes, dígame. Okay, dígame. Oh, okay. Oh, sorry about that.
Hi, Frank. First of
Yes.
all, let me just say thank you for being here today and for your whole panel. You guys are awesome, and you've really taken something extremely technical and made it very easy to understand. So I just want to say thank you, and thank you to the mayor for being here today. My question is probably twofold, and hopefully maybe you can take one part of it, and then the other part might be something the mayor can address. You guys talked a lot about home equity in your home, and we either talk about equity right off the bat after you purchase your home, or what that equity looks like over time. And of course, we know that equity can be impacted by the local economy, what's happening in the local economy, how home prices or home value are moving in the local area. So I noticed in some areas of the country, specifically Los Angeles, just right outside of Moreno Valley or the IE, It almost seems like when folks are coming to appraise outside, they're almost just appraising appraising it at the value, whatever the homeowner or the home seller is requesting. Okay, I want $600,000 for this, this cracker box $200,000 home. Yep, no problem with that. But I don't see the same thing in the IE or in Moreno Valley specifically, and it just seems like it's more difficult to have your home appraised at, and I know as a homeowner you're always going to want more than what your home is valued or should be valued at, but it just seems like over the years there's been more of a concerted effort to maintain homes in a certain price level as opposed to what it looks like in other areas of Southern California, specifically LA or San Diego. So I was wondering if you could comment on that, if there has been a concerted effort to do that. And then the second part of the question is, as it pertains to home value and equity, as it relates to the local economy, if the mayor can speak to what industry might we be looking at in Moreno Valley area over the next 10 to 15 years that may aid home buyers in Moreno Valley or homeowners in Moreno Valley with that equity, with the value of their home. Because as someone who's been here for the last 25, 30, 40 years, we know that there's been maybe opportunities that perhaps we missed in Moreno Valley that could have driven the economy. Things like, the raceway and Raiders training camp and, casinos on Sunny Mead Boulevard. Those things that typically take local economies and just drive them through the roof. Sure. We don't have those here, and the only thing I see driving the economy here are distribution centers, and I just don't know how much those are impacting home values in a positive way. So I was wondering maybe if we can you guys speak to that.
What I will comment on from personal experience, from being an active originator myself, is the good news is the Moreno Valley or the Inland Empire has not been designated as a soft market by appraisers, okay? Which back in the day, there was a certain time where the Inland Empire was considered a soft market, which meant there was a really good chance that it was going to be a tough sell or tough to get that value. Luckily, we're not there yet. There's no rumors of it that's coming here anytime soon. The majority of the transactions that I do are in the Inland Empire, Moreno Valley, surrounding areas. Knock on wood, all of the values are coming in still at value. Los Angeles, honestly, all over Southern California, from Chula Vista, I got one a couple days ago. It came in $5,000 short, okay? On a $900,000 purchase price, that wasn't too bad. $5,000 isn't much of an adjustment. It was negotiated, we moved on. I'm trying to think, Victorville, still solid. Hesperia, the high desert. And again, it really comes back to demand, okay? You'd be surprised. There is a lot of demand, a lot of first-time homebuyers like we have here, especially in this quote-unquote entry-level price point, which coming from LA, we have offices in LA, very familiar with the market. And what we see when we're pre-qualifying these buyers, a good majority are from Orange County. I live in Orange County, and they're pushing out here. Okay, all of the renters in Santa Ana, Anaheim, Garden Grove, Los Angeles, Southgate, Huntington Park, Linwood, Maywood, Compton, I could go on and on and on when I see the addresses on the application, but guess where they're buying? They're coming out here. So again, very strong demand, and I'm sure Amado can elaborate on that as well.
So with that demand, Frank, you would think that home prices would be rising, values would be on the rise. There's so many people there are relocating here.
And that's what Amado's going to
Yeah, there's a couple of things that are, that are happening behind the scenes. One of them, they're talking about moving the port from LA, Long Beach, where they're going to put everything in Barstow, and then the distribution is going to be at Barstow, so that's going to eliminate a lot of trucking. Okay, but to go directly to your question, again, this is where you need a good realtor, a solid realtor. A solid realtor will sit down with you as the seller and go over what is called comparables, and those comparables give you a story, a history, and normally a regular realtor, I would say, would do their due diligence, not just what's on the MLS, but there's a lot of transactions that don't necessarily go in the MLS. The other thing is, a good realtor will meet the appraiser at the property to justify the value. And that's one thing, like I coach realtors, and that's one thing that I'm very hesitant, because you're representing your seller, and at the end of the day, if you're representing a seller, which that's a seller question, okay, you want to make sure that you hire, again, a good, strong agent, and then that good, strong agent will also tell you if, I mean, obviously you ask any seller, their house is worth $3 million, okay? So, you gotta be real with real solid numbers, and so far we've been doing transactions, to answer your question, here in Moreno Valley. And right now, I believe our office manager yesterday told me we have like 100 listings here in Moreno Valley. That's not a lot for the people that are coming in. And the days on the market, they're pretty short. I mean, you put something on the MLS and you get 2-3 offers above asking price.
Yes, thank you for that question. Very, very good question. And a lot of good information has already been shared, but I think to your point about the future, right? And how we as a local government, as a city, me as a mayor with my colleagues on the city council, make sure that we are being very thoughtful and strategic about the development that comes in moving forward, right? You brought up, for example, industrial development, like warehouses, right? Those have a certain type of impact on property values. But I will point to the future, because I think one of the big reasons why the voters elected me to be mayor was because of that shared vision that we have for the future, right? Trying to take us in a different direction, trying to move our city into that next phase of our development. And part of that includes building higher quality development. So we could talk about the town center, right? The 56-acre town center that needs to come back for one final vote. And we're hoping that it'll be this year for that town center on Nason and Alessandro. Creating those amenities, those places that people want to go to and want to be at, because unfortunately, even to this day, Moreno Valley is a city that is a commuter city. Most of our residents drive every single day to work outside of the city, and on the weekends, if you have a family, if you have children, and you're looking for something to do, unfortunately, oftentimes you're looking outside of Moreno Valley to go have fun, to go to Temecula or Redlands or Riverside or San Diego. So one of the things that we're constantly working on is how do we bring more of those amenities and programs here so that our residents can live, work, and play here at home without having to leave town every day. And so again, examples are the 56-acre town center with the Lewis Company, the same company that built Victoria Gardens. That's one project we're working on. Just about a month and a half or two ago, the city council approved the mall revitalization project as well. That's huge, huge. Another mixed-use development that's going to be a focal point for the entire region. And on top of that, we can talk about more kind of micro examples. For example, on Iris and Paris, there's a new Aldi that's going to be opening up here within the next month and a half. So how do we provide more of those facilities and amenities that homeowners want? Because all those things increase demand. If there's a brand new grocery store and shopping options and places that you can go, like a library that you can take your kids, that increases the demand to move into those neighborhoods, right? And with that, I'll also add that during the pandemic, we did see a lot of migration happening, net migration out of California, except the only county in the entire state of California that saw positive net migration was Riverside County. So all across the state, people were leaving except for Riverside County. People were coming here. And so that increases the buyer pool, that increases demand. I mean, I was in the market to buy, and there was lines down the street of people trying to get into these houses, offering way over asking. Things have kind of calmed down from that now. But I'll say, because to Frank and Amado's point, Riverside County is in a very different place than back in 2008, 2009. We're a very far stronger economy than we were back in that place. So moving forward, those are definitely things that I'm trying to work on, of how do we keep this momentum going so that we keep increasing property values and hopefully I don't have a crystal ball, I wish I did, but hopefully in the near future, maybe beginning of next year, the Federal Reserve will hopefully start cutting interest rates, which will help potential home buyers to pay for their houses. So I hope that adds on to that.
Absolutely, thank you so much. Let's hear a round of applause for the mayor. So at this point, I'd like to thank our panelists. We will continue with a second panel at this point, so let's give them all a round of applause. Amado, you can remain seated, please. And at this point, Mr. Dylan and Mrs. Contractor, I didn't get your name, I'm sorry. Paula, join us up here. Oh, una pregunta? Dígame.
Dos preguntas. Una mía de cuál es la ventaja de comprar de contado y comprar ¿cómo se dice? El mortgage, mes a mes, financiado. Y él tiene otra pregunta de siendo segundo comprador, ¿qué más?
Para comprar la otra casa, la segunda casa.
Ok, no, sí, seguro. Mire, cuando usted ya tiene una casa y va a comprar una segunda casa, básicamente tiene dos opciones. Puede comprarla como su residencia principal, va a dejar la casa que tiene de renta y se va a ir a vivir a una superior a la que ya tiene. Esa es una opción. Si la casa que quiere comprar es para inversión y es obvio que la casa es inferior a la que usted tiene, ¿okay? Más chiquita, más feíta o lo que sea, entonces es obvio que es para hacer negocio, para rentar, la puede comprar, pero se requiere ya más de enganche, ¿okay? Entonces ya cuando es de inversión es el 20% de enganche o más. Si usted ya tiene su casa y quiere comprar una superior a la que ya tiene, esa la puede comprar hasta con el 3% de enganche, poquito de enganche. ¿Okay? Buena pregunta.
Sí, gracias.
Yes. Dígame.
Buenos días. Mi pregunta es el programa Chenoa, para ayudar para el down payment. ¿También califica uno para casas nuevas aquí en Moreno Valley?
Claro que sí, claro que sí. Casas nuevas o usadas, no hay ningún problema.
Ok, gracias.
Sí.
Buenos días.
Buenos días.
La pregunta es, yo estuve hablando con un realtor last week y me dijeron que no podía comprar casa. Me hizo muchas preguntas sobre mi FICO score, lo que yo gano, el tiempo de trabajo, y de todos modos no me dijo que no podía, que tenía que esperarme o agarrar un cosigner. Cuando tengo el FICO score está alto, tengo muchos años en la compañía y hago casi como 80 al año, y de todos modos me dijo que no podía. Yo pienso que el señor Hernández y usted tiene la razón, que no me quiso ayudar.
Pues mira, lo que tenemos que hacer es definitivamente hacer un análisis. Yo personalmente sin ver nada, para lo que me escuchas, se me hace muy raro que no califiques para nada, ¿ok? Posiblemente lo que yo pienso, y a veces es falta de comunicación, sea del agente de real estate o del prestamista, de que te dicen, bueno, no calificas para nada, pero yo pienso que la mayoría de personas califican aunque sea para algo, ¿okay? Yo cuando hago una precalificación, es muy rara la vez que le diga yo a alguien, no calificas para nada. Cualquier persona puede calificar aunque sea para $100,000, para 75,000, cada quien tiene su número, de acuerdo a su ingreso y sus deudas. Entonces hay que saber cuál es tu número, ¿ok? En base de lo que tú ganas, tus deudas. Cuando yo te dé ese número, entonces yo te voy a decir, tu número es X cantidad, 200,000. No, pues que en el mercado no hay nada por 200,000. Ok, una de dos. Tienes que buscarte a un cosigner, alguien que te ayude, o quizá considerar otra área. ¿Okay? Y en muchos casos me ha tocado que esa área muchas de las veces es fuera del estado. ¿Okay? Tengo una clienta, por ejemplo, en Santana. Ella la califiqué para $125,000. Trabaja por su cuenta, pone muy poquito de ingreso, es detailer de carros, le pagan mucho cash, calificó para muy poquito. Pero digo, ¿sabes qué? Yo lo que quiero es comprar mi casa, me voy a ir para Wisconsin. Y allá logramos calificarla con una aprobación de $115,000, pero compró su casa porque estaba enfocada en comprar casa. So, el punto aquí es de que sí se puede, nada más hay que buscar cuál es tu número. So, si gustas, después del evento podemos platicar más en detalle e inclusive te podemos hacer una precalificación aquí mismo. Gracias. Okay. So on your bankruptcy question, I think I was right. It was 2 years, 2-year waiting period. Yeah, so plenty of flexibility there. Okay, guys, so we're going to continue our panel here. So with this panel, there's a slide here just a little bit about my experience. I already shared with you guys earlier. I've been doing loans for over 20 years. I have a strong passion for diverse markets, both in the Hispanic side and the African American sector. That's been literally all of my career. So what we're going to be talking about right now is how to build your own home with little down. Okay, how to build a home from scratch, not renovation. This is a brand new build, or in the case here, we also have a manufactured home wholesaler who is going to talk about how we can use this program that I'm going to be discussing to include the cost of the lot and the manufactured home in one deal. So again, take really good notes because this is a game changer. This is a game changer when you're in a market. Right now, we're in a market where the inventory is the lowest it's been in at least 10 or 15 years. Okay? How many active listings do we have right now in Moreno Valley, Amado?
115, right, Albert?
115 active listings. At the peak, what's it been?
We had like 1,800.
Wow. So from 1,800 active units to 115 active units. That is very low inventory. So take note of this program because if you can't find the home out there, we can build it. We can help you build it. So with that being said, this is our one-time closed construction loan. Very simple program here, guys. Basically, we can get you the loan to finance the lot, the cost to build the home, or if it's a manufactured home, the planning cost, the permits, everything wrapped up under one loan. Okay, we wrap it up. Before this program, I don't know if anybody has any experience, but before this program, number one, you had to go and buy the lot cash. Okay, number one. So who's got 100,000 laying around or 150,000 to go buy a lot cash? Once you bought the lot cash, then you had to go to a commercial bank and ask for a commercial construction loan, which was pretty complicated with high interest rates and all that. So you had to buy the lot cash, you had to go get a commercial loan. Once the home was constructed, you had to go back to a lender like me, pay off the commercial loan and get into a residential loan. So number one, complicated. And number two, expensive. Okay? So throw that out the window. We can do this now with an FHA loan, like we talked. We can do it with a VA, if you happen to be a VA, or a conventional, okay? But they do require down payments. So everything I'm gonna talk about here, except for VA. So this program, if you're a VA, you can do a construction loan with zero down. So if you know anybody, let them know. Okay, so eligibility, it's got to be a primary home. Okay, you have to live in the property. If you want to do it as a second home, the second home has to be located in a resort area, Big Bear, Idlewild, in an area that's considered a vacation area. Okay, what's this area out by the desert out there? Joshua Tree is very popular, and we're going to be talking about that. So resort area, just think Airbnb, okay? If the property happens to be there, we can use this program for that. Eligible borrowers, just like on any regular FHA conventional loan, the borrower, you have to be a U.S. citizen or a permanent resident. non-permanent resident aliens, that refers to DACA. DACA recipients, if you guys know any DACA recipients, they would be eligible as well. Okay, the credit score requirements are a little higher for this construction loan. On the conventional side, a 680 credit score. So like I said earlier, very important to know where you stand in terms of credit score, because credit score is important, especially for this program. 680 on conventional, and 640 for FHA and VA. So there's more flexibility on the government side. Okay, eligible properties: single family detached homes, modular homes, and manufactured homes. Okay, so if it's a conventional program, you've got to do 5% down. If it's a second home, you've got to do 10% down. If it's going to be an owner-occupied FHA, 3.5% down, 3.5 down. So you can build a house, okay, or put a manufactured home on there with 3.5 down. If it's a VA, 0 down. Okay, you cannot do this on 1 to 4 units. You can't construct a duplex, triplex, fourplex. That's not allowable. Just one home. No condominiums, no single wide manufactured home. It has to be double wide. Again, we're going to get into that conversation right now. Lease land can't be on lease land. Property can't be held in a trust. No investment properties. If you noticed, that's been a recurring theme. Okay, this is focused on primary home for the most part. Okay, these are the simple requirements for the builder in this construction program. One very important piece is, who is your builder? Who are you working with? Okay, so we need to approve that builder developer before we move forward. We're going to check them out online. We're going to go to Yelp, Better Business Bureau, make sure they're a solid builder developer before we issue you that loan approval. Okay, very important to get 2 or 3 opinions, 2 or 3 quotes, and make sure that we approve them as well. Very important. Okay, so the process, what does the process look like? And I'm actually going to stand up here for a second. So the first step is, you need to find your builder and your developer. That's the first step. You're going to shop around. Okay, once you find that builder developer, they're going to provide you with 6 items. Their W-9, their insurance, there's a questionnaire, and a few more items that we require from this builder developer. Once we have that package, you begin hunting for your lot with your real estate agent. You guys go out, start looking for your desirable lot. That's where, going back to Amado's point, with the construction loan, it's very important to work with an experienced realtor who's going to do their due diligence on the lot. Is there utilities? Is there not utilities? Is there a septic tank? No septic tank. What has been done? So it's very important to do some due diligence on the lot. Okay, so very important to work with someone who knows what they're doing. You find the lot, you make an offer, just like on a house, you go back and forth, negotiate the price. Then at that point, everything kind of stops, because then at that point, that's when you sit down with your contractor and start designing your home. If you're building a home, how big do you want it? How many square feet? How big do you want the kitchen? How big do you want the living room? You go back and forth on the planning, you go to the city, you get your permits, and once you have all the paperwork out of the way, then it comes back to me. I order the appraisal, okay, because I'm gonna lend you money based on those plans. Let's say you wanna build a house that's gonna cost you $300,000. The lot's gonna cost you $100,000. That's $400,000, okay? But in order for me to get you that $400,000, I need to have an idea of what's being built, okay? That's why that step is very important. They have to be approved plans. Once we have the approved plans, I send it to the appraiser. The appraiser does an appraisal report for me based on the sketches that were provided by your builder, by your contractor, okay? That appraisal's completed, goes in like a regular loan, your W-2s, your pay stubs, goes through underwriting, we close it, we fund it, everybody gets paid, the lot gets paid, the agent gets their commission, And then at that point, construction begins, okay? Once the construction begins, the important thing about these loans that you need to understand is a very common question. When do I start making payments, right? We just closed the loan, we just paid for the lot, so you're gonna start making payments on whatever is owed at that time. So let's just assume that the lot was 100,000, okay? There's 100,000 there that are due immediately. Then we're gonna release 100,000 to the contractor so he can get started on the foundation, on framing, whatever he has to do. So that's 200,000. So you're gonna get charged only the interest on that 200,000, okay? Just the interest as the balance is released and as the balance starts growing on the construction, okay? So every few months, we're gonna be giving draws to the contractor so he can continue doing the work, okay? As we give him more money, that balance increases, your monthly payment's gonna be increasing as well, okay? Interest only, okay? Interest only to make it easy on you, because you're gonna be living at your house, you're still gonna be renting, whatever your situation is, you're gonna have the interest only payment on the construction. Once the construction is completed, obviously you move into your new home, but the beauty of this program is once the construction is completed, there's no need to refinance, none of that, because that's why it's called a one-time close, one loan, one rate, okay? And by the way, the rate on this program right now, when you do it with little to no money down, is 7%. 7% for the construction loan. Right now, typical market rates are around 6%, 6.25%. So to get a construction loan at 7%, it's not a bad deal, okay? Now, a common question I get is, okay, this construction process can take 10 months or a year, okay? What happens if the rates drop in a year and you lock me in at 7%, okay? We give you the opportunity, it's called a float down, okay? Which means if the rates tank to 5.5, we'll give you the benefit of what the market is doing. Only one time though. Okay, so we need to make sure that if the rates come down during the construction process, we lock it in at that one time when hopefully they dip, you get the opportunity to take advantage of that drop, which is amazing, okay? So in a nutshell, that's the way the program works. I have a contractor here. I'm gonna get the real estate perspective. We're gonna talk about real life scenarios, what happens during the process, and just get a little bit more detailed as to the actual process itself. Okay, so the first question is to my good friend Amado, and the question is, Amado, from a realtor perspective, from a practitioner perspective, what are the pros and cons, if you would, of doing this type of construction loan in this market?
I mean, what a great opportunity, no matter what angle you look at it from. First of all, you're providing something that is very, I mean, I bought brand new homes, but they were tract homes. But to design your own home, the other thing, my question to you, Frank, is easy. You know, to me, as a realtor representing you, it's easier if I go and we negotiate the lot, let's say, and you know, we give, let's say, $100,000 lot. If we can purchase it for $100,000, obviously, but give a down payment and have the owner carry, then meantime, there's not that much pressure to the builder, the permits and all the process, and you have a happy seller that's not gonna be bugging you or whatever, and then when it gets approved, he gets paid, they get their money, and everybody's happy. So to me, that would be a better way, but I don't know if that's doable.
What's the availability of land in Moreno Valley? Do we have land down here to do that?
I have a couple of experts that are really good, and I don't know if Tiffany, if you can give them one of them, Albino deals a lot with land. Ruth deals with land, and I don't see Jose. Jose's not here.
Because I'm going to have questions for you.
Who was it? Albino. Albino, what about lots? You're out there in the... Albino, by the way, likes living out there with cattle and cows and horses.
The question is, how many, the ability of the.
So yeah, the question was, what's the availability of lots in this area? Do we have land that we can use this program on?
For the last 2 or 3 years, they've been sold a lot vacant land because many people doing manufactured homes on it. So I would say right now, Moreno Valley, I would say around 50%. The value is between around 60 to 180,000, depends on the size of the land. But for 1 acre land could be around 90,000. So yeah.
Albino, this program is not just limited to Moreno Valley. You know, Roma land, Homeland, certain parts of Perez, Hemet, San Jacinto. There's a lot of lots out there that I believe this program, it's like perfect. And I think this is a great opportunity because, you know, and I apologize to the young man because I didn't hear his question, okay? But right now, to find out distressed sales, it's near impossible because you have the demand is too high, okay? So this program, you guys are in full control. You might wind up to where you know, by the time the house is built, you already have 100, 200 grand equity. That's right. So it's an opportunity that, and that's why when, you know, when we're talking to Frank brought it up to me, we sat with Ulises, and Ulises says, let's run with it. By the way, this is the first program ever done. You guys are the first people to ever hear it. So, you know, let's give Frank and the panel staff here a big, big round of applause. God, this is a history-making event.
Thank you for that, Amado. Thank you, Albino. So now we're going to get into the nuts and bolts of the actual process itself. Okay, we have 2 experts up here on general construction and manufactured home. So for as far as affordable housing, because that's another topic in our industry everywhere we go. Washington, D.C., Sacramento, affordable housing, it's through the roof, there's not enough of it, there's no inventory. So what better way than to create affordable housing with a manufactured home, okay? I always look at this, and recently in the last 6 months, I was thinking about, okay, Paris has a ton of manufactured homes, Lake Elsinore, and then I started thinking, okay, when were those built? Somebody must have had this discussion back in the 70s, in the 80s, right? You guys are shaking your heads. Somebody did it, right? Why? Because the rates were 18%, 19%. Right now they're 7%, okay? Back then they were double digits. So they were already thinking that way. And guess what, guys? 2023, here we are again in that dilemma with shortage of inventory. The great news is that we have a solution, okay? We have solutions here. And that's the reason why we had this event. And again, I congratulate all of you for being here because you guys are in a really good spot for gaining this knowledge. Knowledge is power. So with that being said, I'm just gonna dive right in. Just tell us, Dylan, from your perspective, any experience you've had with this type of financing where you're able to bundle the lot, the manufactured home. Walk us through the process, all the way from where the home buyer walks into, I don't know if there's a showroom or these days it's just a website. What does that look like? Take us through that journey.
Absolutely. Hi guys, my name's Dylan Holman, and I apologize for the folks in the back. My reading glasses didn't make it into my briefcase, so if you feel like I'm staring through you, it's because I can't really see your facial features, okay? My family business, we are called Wholesale Manufactured Homes. We have a location in North County, San Diego, San Marcos, where we actually do have a model center that you could physically go walk through houses, or not just an online shop. And we also have a location in Orange County where we're going to be opening up a model center as well. So manufactured homes have come a long way, a very, very long way. They're almost built like traditional housing now. You could go up to 2x6 exterior walls. We can increase your roof insulation. Everything's drywall now too. And your guys' ability to do this from the ground up is you get to choose your layout, your floor plan, your colors, the options and features that go into this house. We offer houses anywhere from 500 square feet up to about 3,500 square feet, and everything in between. Typically about 5 bedrooms is going to be the most that we offer there. And this program that Frank is talking about, and with your guidance, Amado, you brought up a really great point of sellers carrying that property.
Hey, I'm a teacher.
So before COVID and the pandemic, we used to be able to do these construction loan packages all the time. A buyer would come into my office, we'd refer him to Frank, he would structure the package, and then my friend and contractor Paula here would help with everything on site. And we'd be able to do that within a 12-month timeline. Unfortunately, with the pandemic, that kind of delayed some of those things, so it's been harder for us to make the timeline work with what the lender's guidelines are. So having a real estate agent is really your starting point, and Frank, honestly, before you get to me, having someone that's knowledgeable of the land and making sure it's a good starting point for you to possibly make an offer with a long due diligence period is going to be extremely important. And then before you come to me and choose options, you're really going to want to meet with Paula on your property, because what she's going to do is, you might have a floor plan or a house size picked out, but what she'll do is give you a budget for that house going on that lot before we go do any sort of a loan and close a loan and keep moving forward. And that will give you the opportunity to maybe back out of that property because the budget was much higher than you expected, or we carry on and then Frank will then go ahead and close that loan and we get moving on with that. Paula, do you have any comments about site work and timelines and things like that you want to get into?
My biggest thing is before you sign that property to close, that you do your due diligence on that property. We have people that will say, and you will see power's just right there. Well, power right there doesn't mean power is right there and going to get to you in either a timely manner or a costly manner. So when you see a telephone lines, the poles, every pole is about $12,000. So if I'm pulling 2 telephone poles length away, that's $24,000. So I'm gonna let you know that because a lot of times it will just be right there. The other thing is I tell people, buy the ugliest pig out there. Find that property that's got the house, the manufactured home, the old trailer, and that's the one you want to buy. You're going to save about $40,000 to $50,000 because you're not going to pay development fees. Your utilities are going to be there, so your timeline is going to go way down. And then the other thing is really important is just because something was there doesn't mean it was permitted. That's the other key. So I check and make sure that it was permits, that there were permits on that before you purchase it. If there's not permits and I can't find permits, and I dig deep in my little special ways, and if I can't find them, it's a bare piece of property. You now have school fees and all your development fees. So it's really important to do that due diligence before you let that property close.
Quick question for you, Dylan. And I know it's gonna vary. Thank you for that. Price ranges for these manufactured homes.
Yeah, they're all over the place. It kind of depends on what options you would like to put into them yourself. But I guess it's kind of a twofold question because you have the house cost and then you have the installation, the infrastructure, the permits, and a lot of times the site work can cost just as much as the houses. So we have 2-section homes starting for as low as $80,000. and it goes up to around 225 to 250 depending on what size.
Right there.
Yeah.
So what do you get for 225? Because 225, in my perspective, from all the pre-approving I do every day out here, it still sounds very affordable. Obviously, we haven't considered the land.
Absolutely.
But I'm figuring 100,000 for the land, 100,000 for the site work, maybe. We're at 425, 400, 450, all in. That's still pretty affordable.
Absolutely.
So what would someone get for 225?
225 gets you an 1,800 square foot house, all appliances included. We have a bunch of different amenities that I'd be able to show you if you came into my site with different ceiling heights, maybe some tile backsplashes. But typically a manufactured home project, what we try to save our buyers is anywhere from $75 a square foot to $100 a square foot in comparison to a site builder. So if you're looking at a 1,000 square foot house, for instance, we could hopefully potentially save you anywhere between $75,000 to $100,000 versus going with a traditional builder.
What about major differences between manufactured homes of today and what we see in the market out there, which are from what, early 70s,
Absolutely.
late 70s?
Yeah, great question actually. Now our homes, and the difference between a manufactured and a modular home, sometimes those two terms are put into the same sentence, but they're actually completely different types of construction. A modular house will be built to the state of California standards, and the local municipalities, it could be a little more expensive, whereas a manufactured home is built in a factory and it's built to federal regulations and it's inspected at that plant. And the difference between, I'd say, the early 70s and now is we're building everything to National Electric Code. We're using up to 2x6 exterior walls versus sometimes in the olden days 2x2 with panels. I mean, if you could hear everything going on outside, there's no insulation. Don't even worry about turning your AC on, it's gonna go straight through the roof. We can build our houses now up to R42, which is a very high value in the roof. And it's all drywall, like I had mentioned, as well. So it's almost like site-built construction, just done in a factory setting.
Excellent, excellent. And with that, we're gonna stop at that point for questions, because I know this program can sometimes raise a lot of questions, sometimes some confusion. So any questions in the crowd so far?
Just wondering, in regards to the manufactured homes, the inventory, do you have any available, or do we have to order them? I know that like last year or so, they were like a, what do they call it? Like a, they were behind pretty much.
Hot commodity.
Yeah, yeah. So I don't know if it's changed, or is the manufactured home available now? In other words,
That's a really great question. And that sometimes can kind of depend on who you're working with. We're an established company, so believe it or not, if you came to me and Frank got the loan set up, Amado found the land, Paula did her due diligence and gave me a thumbs up, I could build you a 3,000 square foot house in 2 weeks right now. 2 weeks. Yep. Yep. As soon as she gets the permit, so let me preface that, okay? And then typically on site, it'll take her another 60 to 90 days to get through all the inspections, get through the final, and then we'll be able to hand you the keys at that point. My company, we represent 3 different builders, so I'm able to pull from a bigger pool than a lot of my competitors. We have 2 factories based in Phoenix, Arizona, and I have another factory in Riverside that I'm able to allot houses from. And 2 of those factories right now, like I mentioned, it's a 2-week build time for whatever size house you order.
Beautiful. Good questions.
Michael, make sure you get that on film.
Yeah. And that is right now today. It could change next month, let me preface. But back to your question, and let me continue there. When all the crazy long timelines were going on during the middle of the pandemic, my company's longest timeline was still only 6 months to get a house built. We have we're given a certain number of slots at these factories and guaranteed a number of houses that we can have built, so. Any other questions out there?
Yes.
I want to know how long will the manufactured homes, how long do they last? How sturdy are they?
That's a great question too. So as Frank mentioned, how does my new construction compare to all the houses that are out there from the early 70s? I look at those houses and they've been sitting there for almost 50 years at this point, right? Our construction is such a higher, more superb quality that you should get even longer than that. But it also goes back to how well do you take care of your things, or whoever that prospective home buyer is. Just like a standard site-built house, you're going to have maintenance. There's things you want to do. If you have a minor leak, you get to it before it turns into a major leak and then causes water damage. But there's no reason the houses shouldn't last anywhere between 50 to 90 years. Great. Another great question. She asked a question about earthquakes. Some folks, they're worried about being in a manufactured home because you're set on those piers and the pads. After the Northridge earthquake, which it was before my time, they ended up having to have a new engineered system come in. So there's certain tie-down points that allow these houses to kind of sway a little bit. There's different permanent foundation systems now, and some of my contractors and engineers tell me that you're better off in a manufactured home in an earthquake than a site-built home nowadays. So great question.
And we have time for one last question.
Okay, this is a two-part question. One, since we are now allowed to put ADUs on our homes, is that something that you're doing? And will it affect on the lending side if you have a stick-built and now you have a modular or a manufactured behind? Do you want me to repeat that in Spanish?
Sure.
La pregunta es, ahora que ya tenemos permiso para agregar una segunda vivienda, como le llaman en inglés, en un ADU, ¿cómo se está manejando la parte financiera si tienen una casa tradicional en su lote y ahora quieren poner una manufacturada en la parte de atrás?
Yeah, so as far as financing goes, when there's an existing home and you want to build an ADU, whether it's a prefab or stick-built ADU, that's actually a really simple loan. It's called a Fannie Mae renovation loan. Very simple, very simple. The construction loan is a separate deal when you're starting from scratch. If it's just an ADU, it's a simple refinance, provided you qualify for the additional cost. Very simple. La pregunta es para las personas que ya tienen casa, que si pueden construir lo que le llaman una ADU, una unidad de accesorio, como una casita, porque ya muchas ciudades han incorporado planes y permisos para hacer eso. Sí se puede, es un programa mucho más sencillo que el que expliqué ahorita, es un simple refinanciamiento. Un simple refinanciamiento, se financia el costo de lo que va a costar esa casita en un solo préstamo, muy rápido y muy fácil de hacerlo, obviamente siempre y cuando califique con su crédito y con sus ingresos.
Frank, I have a question on that. On an ADU, is it better to, let's say somebody's got a 2.5% interest rate fix, is it better to get a HELOC and get the ADU, or should they refinance the whole thing to a 6.5% to get that extra money?
Yes, good question, and I get that a lot actually. And what we're finding, Amado, is when I run the numbers, there's typically a couple different ways of doing it. You can either do a refinance cash out, you can do a line of credit, okay, or you can do a personal loan if you know someone who can lend you $100,000, okay? Once we run the numbers, 9 times out of 10, it makes more sense to refinance your mortgage, even if you have a 2.5 or a 3%, versus putting $100,000 or $150,000 on a line of credit. Because the line of credit is going to be anywhere between 9, 10, 11%. It's going to be adjustable and it's going to be interest only. Okay, so I don't know about you, but I don't want to have $150,000 floating on a line of credit, adjustable, paying interest only. I'd rather lose my 3% and put it in my first mortgage. So with that being said, that concludes our panel. We're going to be here for more additional questions. All of you should have all of our contact information for individual scenarios. And let's give our panelists a big round of applause here.
And a huge thanks to the mayor and Frank for putting this event on. This was so informative. Even being in the industry, I still learn things. And having someone in government that is willing to put on these seminars and educate his constituents is so amazing. So thank you again, Mayor, and thank you, Frank.
Thank you, thank you. And now there's a few closing remarks here from our mayor. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, and I'll keep it very short. I just want to say thank you to all of you, Frank Fuentes, Amado Hernandez with Excellence, everybody here from the Chenoa Fund, everyone here for the manufactured homes. Like, thank you so much. If we could give them a big, big round of applause, please. And muchísimas gracias a todos, a ellos que están aquí con nosotros por dar su tiempo. I know it's a lot of information, so it may be a little overwhelming for some. But hopefully this was educational and informative, and now taking those next steps, right? Making sure that you connect with New American Funding and Excellence Empire Real Estate. They have tables here at the back. They have tables set up outside as well to make sure that you connect with them. So on your way out, feel free to get one of their business cards, talk to one of their team members so that you can start planning and start preparing. So ahora con toda esta información que recibieron hoy, por favor asegúrense que conecten con ellos. Aquí tienen mesas atrás, tienen mesas allá afuera también para tomar esos próximos pasos, empezar a planear su primera casa, ¿verdad? So, de nuevo, muchísimas gracias.
Thank you, gracias. Thank you. And before we leave the room here, we do have some raffles. Tiffany, do we have everybody's card now in your basket? Tiffany? Do we have everybody's card in your basket now for the raffles? Okay. Yeah, so if you haven't given Tiffany a business card that we have in your bag with your name and number, go ahead and give it to her. Raise your hand if you have not given it to her. That's okay for everybody in the room.
Yes, thanks.
So make sure everybody gives Tiffany your name and number, and within the next minute, we're gonna raffle off we have five $100 gift vouchers for La Surtidora. $100, 5 of them. Let me know when you're ready, Tiffany. And I'm going to have Amado do the honors of giving us the names of the winners. Tiffany will pull them out and you'll call them out.
If I can ask you guys to please give our mayor a big, big round of applause for allowing us to be here. And I want to say that without our sponsors, none of this thing would be possible. Chenoa, Magic, Farmers, and Excellence, thank you so much. And the person quarterbacking the whole thing, Tiffany, we want to thank you. Let's give her a big, big round of applause. And obviously having a great quarterback like Frank Fuentes, that's a real big blessing. Let's give him a big, big round of applause.
The moment of truth. So I'll let you pick the winners, Amado.
Andrea Smith. Andrea Smith, come on out.
Still in the room here?
Andrea, did Andrea leave? She was with Andrew, I met him.
Okay.
Okay, second one.
The next one. Oh.
What is it? You got it? Go on, one more?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, here comes another one.
Is there a name there? Written?
It says Frank Fuentes, but I know it's not. It says it's Adele T. Said Adele T. It looks like ADLE. All right, let's give her a big, big round of applause.
Let's put that one in there. Shake them up a little bit. There we go. Okay.
I know this guy. Ronaldo Cristiano, where are you? Right there, Armando Masin, all right.
Come and get your gift certificate.
You gotta run, guy.
Yeah, congratulations, my man.
Thank you. My God, Frank is winning all of them. Maria Ramirez.
Maria.
Maria, come on up. As Maria's taking a walk, let's give Maria a big round of applause for winning. Okay, one more. Here it comes. Two more, okay. Frank wins again. Rafael Gonzalez. Rafael, come on up.
Oh, this was Andrea.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay, so that concludes our prizes.
Oh, okay.
That's for Andrea. You're welcome.
Yeah, in closing, I want to thank all of you. Right before I give the microphone to our quarterback, Mr. Frank Fuentes, and I want to say that, you know, this is still America. This is still the greatest country in the world, and it all begins with home ownership. You know, I want to be very brief. During the Roman times, when their empire started growing, all the rich people, they owned land. And all the peasants, when they would fight wars with swords and slingshots, you know, they weren't powerful. When the Roman Empire started giving land and homes to the soldiers and dressing them, that's when Rome became very powerful. And home ownership keeps our country stable. It keeps your family stable. And it's something that is, like Ulises said, it creates generational wealth. Take it serious. Time is going to go by whether you use it or not. And we are told to redeem the times because the days are evil. Let's do it. Thank you so much. Thank you, Frank.
Thank you, Amado. I just want to take another minute for, first of all, thank all of our sponsors. Without you guys, this wouldn't be possible. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for making the trip out here, for supporting. Hopefully, I'm sure it's not going to be the last event we do. So I know you guys are excited. Thank you all for showing up today, and again, congratulations. You're all set on your path to home ownership. We're here for you. Frank Fuentes, you guys all have my contact information. My team is in the back there as well. If you have any other questions, we will be in the hallway here for a few more minutes after we conclude here. So just thank you so much and have a blessed day. Thank you.
To all my colleagues out there, I want to thank and give big kudos to my very good friend, Mr. Frank Fuentes from New American Funding. Today's event, we kicked it out of the park. This place was packed, attendance was phenomenal. We were here for 2.5 hours, nobody left, and everybody stood afterwards to ask questions, and it was just phenomenal. Frank, thanks for bringing this out here to the beautiful city of Moreno Valley. I also want to thank our mayor. But Frank, tell us, what is it like to come out here and bring this great program to the Inland Empire?
Absolutely, yeah. Thank you, Amado, for your support. Just like Amado said, we had a very well-attended event. A lot of people that were really focused and engaged, which is hard to do. When you have home buyers, I mean, typically it's a very short span of attention, right? But everybody was very engaged, and we're definitely excited and passionate about bringing another event here to Moreno Valley very soon. I'm already in talks with the mayor.
Wow, you know, having the MMI and PMI, that is big, because, I mean, unless you know people that know people, that doesn't happen. Thank you so much for bringing them. In your organization, you don't need to go for approval. Tell us how that worked, the delegated authority with that, with the fund, the Chenoa Fund.
Absolutely. So one of our main sponsors was the Chenoa Fund. And the Chenoa Fund, for anybody watching this that is not familiar, that's a national down payment assistance fund that's out there, and we are direct with Chenoa, which means We draw the docs, we do the underwriting, we do the funding in-house. There's no second signatures required. There's no sending the file to Sacramento or Washington. None of that. You can throw that out the window. And best of all, no income limitations. When have you heard of a down payment assistance program with no income limitations?
When you're representing a buyer and you go to a listing agent and you tell them, I have a DPA, down payment assistance program, they're
Where
not
does that
going
offer go?
Exactly.
That's what I want to know.
Exactly. But when you explain the process, that everything is done and, a singularity, not, plural, and with a point and a focus, with New American Funding, they're a multi-billion-dollar company, and him representing in Moreno Valley, New American Funding means a lot to the Excellence Empire organization, because we want to help, we want to advocate with the local government, as we're doing here with the mayor, with the state, and with the federal. I want to make a change. Frank Maker was we want to make a change. So Frank, I learned something from you on 3. ¿Les esperamos? Do we say that?
Yes.
1, 2, 3. ¡Los esperamos!